Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Councilmember Chung? Here. Councilmember Davies?
Here.
Councilmember Smith?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Power?
Here.
Mayor Pokencourt?
Here.
All are present.
All right. Father Greg Beaumont from St. Malachy's will give our invocation. Please rise.
Thank you for this invitation to join you in praying for our city. So I'm going to read from the 3rd chapter of the book of Ezekiel, because I was driving around and it was an extremely beautiful day. There's snow on the mountains and warmth and sunshine. The context of this prayer is 3 men that were arrested for their faith in exile and thrown into a fiery pit, but the angel of the Lord was with them to protect them. And even in the midst of the challenges, difficulties, and tribulation, they gave this praise to God. Bless the Lord, all you works of the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. Angels of the Lord, bless the Lord. You heavens, bless the Lord. Sun and moon, bless the Lord. Stars of heaven, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. All you winds, bless the Lord. Fire and heat, bless the Lord. Cold and chill, bless the Lord. Dew and rain, bless the Lord. Frost and snow, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. Nights and days, bless the Lord. Light and darkness, bless the Lord. Lightnings and clouds, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. Let all the earth bless the Lord. Mountains and hills, bless the Lord. Everything growing on the earth, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. You springs, bless the Lord. Lakes and rivers, bless the Lord. All water creatures, all birds of the air, all animals, wild and tame, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. All you people, bless the Lord. Servants of the Lord, holy men of humble heart, bless the Lord. And to this song of praise, we ask that we too join in giving praise to the Lord, all those who are assembled at this meeting, all those who live here on this mountain, all those who serve our city in city government, police officers, firefighters, teachers and educators, doctors and caregivers, business owners, and all those who live here, and all of our families, all of our students, all those who are poor and all those who are homeless. May we work together, loving and caring for one another and supporting one another, and facing the challenges that are before us with the wisdom and the grace that comes from God. Give thanks to the Lord for who is good, whose mercy endures forever. Bless the Lord, our God, all you who fear him. Praise and give thanks, for his mercy endures forever. Amen.
Our pledge, Phil?
Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our Community Engagement Director, Key Butch, followed by Police Chief Stanbridge.
Mayor Pokencourt, Council, thank you. It's once again, as I say every time, it's a pleasure when I get to come up because it's always something good that we're getting to share. And next week, beginning on April 13th, is National Telecommunicator Public Safety Week, or Dispatcher Week, is kind of what some of us call it. We want to recognize the men and women, and I think largely it's all women, I think, in our department, that man the station inside, that handle the 911 calls, that get help to our community as needed. So we're going to ask you to recognize our hardworking dispatchers, but before we do that, I want to invite Chief Stanbridge up to say a few things.
Mayor, Council, thank you very much. You know, after 27 years of doing this job, that's the first person I would talk to when I started my shift, and it's the last person I would talk to when I ended my shift. So as long as they were there to answer the call, then obviously I'm safe when I started and I'm safe when I'm going home. That's a job that often gets overlooked as we talk about it in the profession. Officers in the field, we get to debrief, we get to discuss things, we get to talk about traumatic events among each other. Our dispatchers don't always get that closure. And so, you know, I think over time we've made a better effort to include them in those debriefs and discussions, but as with everything else, we can always get better. So I wanted to give you some statistics of what our communication center handled last year, just to tell you how busy they are. You know, Tehachapi's 14,000+, but then you also have to add Stallion Springs, you have to add Golden Hills, you have to add Bear Valley, because their police departments don't operate 24/7 as much as ours does. And so we take those calls when they're not there. And we have to do a lot of agency assist, so that requires extra work on our staff. So let me tell you a little bit about the phone calls that came into our communication center last year. Just 911 calls alone, we took 2,722. Phone calls to the administration line, that's just the non-emergency line, 16,588. We also in turn had to make 4,763 calls out of the dispatch center for a total call accumulation of 24,074 calls into that small communication center for this city. So they do a lot of great work. As the chief, I'm very proud of them. I would put them up against anybody and anytime, and this is just a small token of our appreciation. Thank you.
Very good.
Come on up, ladies. Get our dispatch team up. Photo op time. Mayor Pokencourt, you right? Have you line up across here?
The city of Tehachapi has a proclamation, the National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. Whereas public safety telecommunicators serve as the critical link between the public and emergency service, working 24/7 to manage 911 calls and support first responders. And whereas these professionals remain calm under pressure, providing vital information and coordination during emergencies. And whereas Tehachapi Police Department recognizes its team of 7 dedicated telecommunicators who serve with professionalism, passion, and integrity. And whereas their efforts help save lives, ensure officer safety, and maintain public trust in times of crisis. Now, therefore, the city of Tehachapi, the City Council proclaims a week of April 13th through April 19th, 2025 as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week, and encourages all residents to recognize and honor the service of these unsung heroes, outstanding heroes as well. Okay, who's the head honcho? Yeah.
Place.
Do you two want to hold it there? Just
Do you want to hold it
turn
up
around?
like
Yeah.
this?
So let's balance. Let's bring it to the center, Mayor. We'll
Just
right
Joe?
here. Yeah. We'll
Okay.
have her go to the middle and
Here.
in between
You want me to
everybody.
hold it? Okay.
Yeah.
Patty can hold it.
Blip, blip.
All right. Ready, guys?
Turn my shoulder to the view.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. All right. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
okay.
You get to zoom.
Yes, you get to hang on.
Oh, thank you.
Put it by your desk.
Thank you so much.
Thank
In the
you.
middle of everything. Okay, consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine and non-controversial by city staff. Consent items will be considered first and may be approved by one motion if no member of the council or audience wishes to comment or ask questions. If comment or discussion is desired by anyone, the item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered in listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the city council concerning the item before action is taken. Staff recommendations are shown in caps. Do we have any? Do I have a motion for consent? Oh, that's correct. Thank you. Do I have any public comment from the audience? Council? Then do I have a motion?
Motion to approve as presented.
A
Second. I'm sorry, who did the second come from?
Jeanette?
All right, Councilmember Chung?
Yes.
Councilmember Davies?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Power?
Yes.
Mayor Pokencourt?
Yes.
5-0 vote, motion carried.
Okay, public comment? Ashley, do we have anything?
I did not receive anything.
Okay. All right. Assistant,
Is anybody in the audience?
audience, public comment? Okay. Assistant managers report?
Actually, I have information
No,
after
no.
number 7.
We're on 3.
You're good.
Apologies.
All right, thank you, Mayor Pokencourt and council members. So, a couple items for you tonight. There's a fun one, but not after this one first. So, we want to, tonight we're introducing an ordinance to adopt the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection Fire Hazard Severity Zone maps for the city of Tehachapi. So some background on this, the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, or CAL FIRE, they recently updated its fire hazard severity zone maps as part of their mandate to identify areas in the state with heightened fire risk. These maps categorize zones based on fire severity, considering factors fuel load, climate, winds, terrain. The updated maps are aiming to inform state, regional, and local planning efforts to mitigate wildfire risks and enhance public safety. So, as you all know, the city's in a region that's experienced significant wildfire activity in recent decades. That emphasizes the need for proactive measures to safeguard residents, infrastructure, and natural resources. So adoption of these maps by the City Council will ensure alignment with state guidelines and strengthen the city's ability to implement effective land use planning, building codes, and emergency preparedness strategies. The attached maps are, unfortunately, our overhead's not working tonight, but the maps are available at City Hall for review. They're also on our website if folks want to look specifically kind of in the region of where their home is at. But there are certain areas in the city that are being designated as moderate, high, or very high from CAL FIRE. We also have a good chunk of the city that's not zoned because it's kind of in the urban core. It's not surrounded by wildland areas where this wildfire could start and spread. So the areas listed as very high, and specifically for us, this is mostly north of Highway 58, so Capitol Hills, and also down into Arabian Estates, and a portion of the Ash Village housing development just on the other side of the railroad tracks, and a few others, but there's not a lot of residential activity in those. That's being listed as very high. That includes some additional standards from the California Building Code for new construction. Additional landscaping and vegetation clearance requirements will start in 2028. Also, the high zones, we have a few of those in the city as well, kind of on the outskirts of the city limits. Those two will be subject to less stringent building, but there are some requirements as far as building materials that are used for new construction. There's also real estate disclosures that are included now when making a transaction in the very high and high fire areas. Kern County Fire Department is obviously our fire contractor, and they'll be the agency in charge of the efforts when it starts in 2028. The areas, as I said, we'll have to disclose upon the sale of their home as well if it's in one of those severity zones. Reason why we're doing this, California Government Code 51179, the council is required to adopt these maps via ordinance within 120 days of release of the maps. They came out in early March. The council cannot reduce the fire hazard severity zones within the city limits. They can increase the severity of a zone prior to adoption. I'm part of the League of California Cities Fire Insurance Working Group. We had the State Fire Marshal from CAL FIRE on the call, and he explained it basically based on the modeling. These maps are what they are. They've used the climate, they've used the terrain, fuel load, a lot of scenarios. These maps are not the same as what you would have with a home insurance. Insurance companies have their own fire risk maps. These are on the premise of a fire has started, how bad is it gonna get? And that's what the model for this is. Now, included in the packet as well was a letter from the insurance commissioner claiming these don't necessarily attach to home insurance rates, but we know that is a really odd situation right now in the state of California. So this is the first reading of the ordinance, and I have brought in the experts to answer the specific questions. If you have any questions as far as procedure for me, I'm happy to answer them, but we've got several members from the Kern County Fire Department, including Chief Aaron Duncan and also Deputy Chief Andrew Kinnison are here as well. They're happily willing to come to the podium and answer any specific questions on what this means for fire safety in the city of Tehachapi. Chief, you want to come on up? Maybe explain it better than I did. You're the expert.
No, actually, you did a really good job.
Kinnison's been briefing me. I'll give him the credit.
No, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Aaron Duncan. I am your fire chief. I'm just here tonight to answer any questions you may have. I've brought my whole team with me. I've got my fire marshal. I've got the head of my wildland department who's worked with CAL FIRE directly, discussing all these maps. I just kind of want to reiterate what was said by the assistant city manager, that these are hazard maps. So this doesn't take risk into effect. So these maps are put together as if there's no fire station, there's no crews in the area, there's no helicopters. It's looked at just by what local weather does, what fuel, topography, and that's how they judge these maps and why they come to the outcome. What they don't take into account, which is a risk map, is if I put a fire station right in the middle of your town, does it lower your risk? It absolutely does. Is there a robust water system? It absolutely does lower your risk. But these maps that you're looking at today do not take into effect any of those things. That's why they are considered a hazard map, not a risk map. So, and there's a distinct differential between the two. But what you're looking at today is a hazard map. So I'm here with my team, and I can answer any questions you may have.
Start with the public.
Do we have any public comments? Anyone? Council?
I do.
I do too.
Why do we have this map if, all right. So let's address the red zone. It's to the north.
Yeah.
And it includes our Arabian Estates area and the Ash Village area. And the topography of that region doesn't appear the same as you would see. It's not a high brush, not a high fuel with sagebrush and trees and that. It's more grassland and rolling hills. It just seemed odd that it was given that severity, except for maybe the wind. But I'm still a little confused. You have a severity zone, and you said that the insurance companies don't go by that?
Per the insurance commissioner and per the state fire marshal, they say that these maps do not correlate. So that's not what I'm saying. I'm just telling you that's what CAL FIRE is saying.
Okay, so the insurance rates would not necessarily correlate with the severity zone map. Correct.
Correct.
But it's being identified as a severe zone.
Yes.
So we can have more resources, more money from the state to address it. That'd be great.
For sure.
Anyway, if you could kind of.
So speaking to that specific area that you're talking about,
yes,
the very high area, I'm going to bring in Chief Kinnison because he's worked with CAL FIRE and why they drew those maps the way they did.
All right.
So he'll be able to give you a better answer for that.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So very, very good question. Very good question, because when we talk about assessing a hazard, you do that for a very specific reason, because you want to figure out what your risk is, and then you want to mitigate that risk.
Yes.
So you're asking, what are the mitigations the state's going to do?
Yes.
So, don't have the crystal ball fully active right now, but a few of the things that they're pushing is defensible space requirements. That's one of the biggest ones, the immediate ones, and it's something that it's proven to work. Zone 0 is one of the newest requirements that's going to go into effect next year, which is the first 5 feet of the house with an ember zone. It's not very popular because it does require work from the homeowners. It doesn't come with any assistance from the state, but it improves the safety. So that's one of the mitigations that the state is working with. Another one of the, I think Corey touched on it a little bit, is the building materials that's required. Non-flammable, non-combustible building materials. And we've seen homes that are built to the Chapter 7A standard that have defensible space that survive even some of the worst fires. And so they don't come with state assistance, but that is some of the immediate actions. The state has, I believe, 6 counties that they're piloting a program to offer homeowner assistance, funding assistance for home hardening. That hasn't moved past the pilot counties, but it is the state's intention that's been relayed to me that they understand home hardening is very expensive. Low-income communities, everybody across the board, it's very difficult to comply with all the rules to upgrade your home to that standard. So they are working at trying to provide funding assistance for that. So, and then,
We'd be happy to be part of the pilot program here.
yeah, I kind of wish that Kern was one of their pilot counties, but it was, we
Yeah.
weren't selected.
There is one bill in the legislature they're working on to Chief Kennison's point, they are working on some savings account type stuff and some assistance to reimburse for these home hardening measures. And some of them in the red areas will be, in the very high areas will be pretty expensive. I mean, it might be not so much, I think, in the city, but surrounding communities, we're talking removing massive trees that are within 5 feet of your home. And so I think the state legislature has a couple bills in committee right now in the Public Safety Committee regarding these issues.
So if you're in a community and you've got a lot that's 50 by 150, you can mitigate the hazard by clearing 5 feet from your house.
Correct.
5 feet in from your property line, correct?
It's 10 foot is the minimum on the property line requirement. But yes, that is one of the requirements, and it helps reduce fire spread. It protects neighboring properties that are developed. It protects those homes, so neighbors are protecting neighbors. Yeah.
So would you have a map like we have up here? Sorry to take all the time, but I just want to get something out here. You've got a community that I'm not sure could afford the immense mitigation measures. Is there anything, if there's uninhabited land adjacent to a community, let's just take this area, let's say Arabian Estates, for example, and Ash Village. If it's uninhabited land adjacent to them, can that be mitigated, like where that property owner can be made to clear a defensible space away from the community that's existing already?
Yes.
Is that already in the process, or can you tell us how that might work?
Yeah, that is partially already in the process. It's not universal. The rule is if you have a developed parcel, and let's say, just for argument's sake, that every parcel touching that parcel is uninhabited, but the parcel in question has a house on it.
Right.
Everybody surrounding that parcel is required to clear 10 foot along their property lines. So if you have, maybe it's open to the National Forest, or it's open to large rangeland, if a fire originates on the rangeland and comes through, the first thing that fire should get to is a 10-foot fuel break along the property boundary before it gets onto the developed property.
Right.
And we already do that as part of our annual code enforcement canvassing that begins on June 1st.
Okay.
That is one of the things we check.
Does that help the homeowners' insurance?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
So it's hard to answer that in a blanket statement, but I can say a lot of the insurance companies are starting to pay closer attention and take deeper dives into individual properties to say, what have you done? And so, for example, several of them, like Allstate, Farmers, they've partnered with IBHS, which is the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety, and they'll actually, for a fee, send out an inspector who will certify your home to include annual clearances such as that, and then those insurance providers are providing a discount if you have that certification. What
So
that discount looks like, I'm not.
Is that a real estate certification?
Yes.
There's the AB, I'm not sure what help me, Jeanette.
Well, it started about, what, 5 years ago, the fire certification on properties, that lenders were requiring it, and then some.
That's Assembly Bill 38.
Yes, that's.
AB 30, okay,
Mhm.
that's it.
Yeah, because that makes it difficult to sell property if it fails. And
Right.
of course, a lot of it, like I know, Stein Springs, you know, you had a lot of beautiful old oak trees that had to be removed in order for the home to loan for the new homeowner. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
So the new, and it's draft language, but to help with that, the Zone
Yeah.
0 draft language says if the bole of the tree within 5 feet,
Right.
the tree is taller than the house, you don't actually have to remove the tree. You just need to clear away from the roof and clear the debris.
Okay.
So hopefully that'll help a lot of people, because that was one of the major concerns, because tree removal, especially near a structure, is very expensive.
Well, fire insurance, it's kind of a tough pickle because,
Yeah.
not that we can get into this too much, but you can't sell your house if you can't get fire insurance for it unless you pay cash.
Right.
And so it's gonna be really difficult for our first-time home owners when they're going to be looking at this astronomical insurance. But, so, and I know you probably can't answer this, but zone 0 with zone 1, 10 feet from the house?
Yeah, zone 0 is 0 to 5, zone 1 is 5 to 30, and zone 2 is 30 to 100, if you have that much space.
If you have that much space.
So that was where I was leading to.
Yeah.
Can you request that the uninhabited property adjacent to a development not be encroachable any closer than the highest level of mitigation zone? So you're saying there's several zones that you can have of
Mhm.
mitigation. Can you, if it's uninhabited at the moment, can you say, all right, let's not allow development, make sure it's a defensible space, even as though that house was sitting in Stallion Springs with their defensible space around it, so they've got a better chance of survival of the fire and a better chance of getting better insurance. So can you have that requirement of uninhabited land, or is that considered? See,
Yeah.
this is gonna get really dicey, I can tell.
It could. Well, one other thing to add to that, though, is there's, as a department, and then we have a fire safe council, and there's several other entities. Some communities have taken it upon themselves too, to do field breaks on a community scale.
That's what I'm talking about,
Mhm.
exactly.
And it's not really required, but as far as being forced to, you have to have a field break here. But there is many across the county that we help install or we support. Bear Valley they do their own mowing. They bought a mower on a grant that we helped them get, things of that nature, kind of
Okay.
above and beyond what's actually minimum required.
Yeah. All right. That's all I have at the moment.
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
sure there's gonna be a million questions on this one, though.
There is.
Anyone?
I have a question.
Okay.
Is there a possibility of changing in the building code or the landscape, the rule based on this aerial, this hazard map?
If you don't mind, I'd maybe defer to the
No,
fire
not at
marshal.
all. I
on the-
just,
of the building
Yes,
code question.
yes.
Curious.
Sorry. Sean Riley, Deputy Fire Marshal. Could you go ahead and repeat the question, please?
Would it be, is there a possibility of having different building code for those areas that has the high danger? Like red areas or the dark yellow type of?
You're talking about different ornamental or different?
Different building code, I mean,
Different
they
building
probably
materials?
don't allow certain type of material to build a house because that is more prone to fire?
Yeah, so basically the building material set forth is coming down in that chapter 7A from the state. So it's gonna be limited to what's in there.
Okay.
And that's basically gonna be state law. So that's what you guys would be adopting with the maps.
So there will be such thing, such ordinance or the building code change?
Correct, yeah, and that's more for your
Oh.
building official too, to go through that as well.
Thank you. I have one more question. Do you remember that a few years ago, there was a special assess on these, the forest fire type of fire tax was assessed? Any of those,
Yeah.
would any of those funds gonna be used to mitigate certain areas like, our the red areas, basically lower income area? And so would it be anything for them to
Well,
mitigate?
those funds were collected on SRA properties only, so outside of the local areas. So if those funds or those fees ever came back in the same fashion, it wouldn't be charged to your residents. So, likely, and I understand it's not a current topic to bring those fees
Okay.
back.
Okay. Thank you.
Good question.
That's all from me.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, appreciate it. Any questions?
If I could ask one question while they're still here. Claudia Elliott. I'm wondering about our hospital. Is it in that red zone? Yeah.
It is.
And I know they have plans for more building there. how might that be impacted?
The way it would likely impact the, things like the water supply they're likely to be required to have on site, building materials and construction methods they would use for the hospital. Yeah, different access roads, things of that nature. Usually the hospitals are already developed, and I know that's a newer hospital, so it's likely to already be in compliance. I'd have to look, but, because I believe they kind of already follow a lot of those.
And they have a water supply there already too, don't they?
Yes, they do. It's correct.
Designated for the hospital for,
And they have a
for
very-
fire, yeah.
And a huge fire suppression system.
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a question. When are you guys gonna gear up for the summer help? When you're gonna start bringing in the crews?
Oh, it's already begun.
Okay.
It's already begun. So there's actually 2 crews. It's been that way for a couple years now up here in Tehachapi, but they're both going to be staffed at 25 people each.
Okay.
So it's a much larger workforce. One is actually staffed at 27 right now. So
Okay.
yeah, a lot more firefighting support for wildfire just right up here in the 58 corridor.
Is that the hot shot crews?
They're not. Yeah, they're. We train to that level. Hot shots are more on the federal side, but yes, it's
Is
our
it the
hand
ones that
crews.
are at the Monolith facility?
Correct. One in Monolith and then one in King.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, we thank you for your service, especially in the Palisades fire. I'm sure many of your firefighters were down there helping. Oh,
You need a motion now?
I need
So
a
the
motion.
recommendation tonight would be to approve the first reading of an ordinance to adopt the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection Fire Hazard Severity Zone map for the city of Tehachapi. So moved.
I'll second it.
Councilmember Chung?
Yes.
Councilmember Davies?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Power?
Yes.
Mayor Pokencourt?
Yes.
5-0 vote, motion carried.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much
guys.
for your service.
On a follow-up on this, our communications folks need to really be on top of this, so our citizens know, can get the word that this is a severity map, and it's not necessarily the same as the risk assessment maps or whatever insurance companies use. It'd be good to have a podcast with the chief or one of the crew up there.
If
Chief
I-
has an open invite. He knows he has an open invite anytime.
And if I may say, also with me is we have 2 of our public information officers who work with Key every day. So I was just congratulating him on his 500th episode.
Great.
We'll be doing more podcasts about this topic because I know there's a lot of information. So yes, we are already dialed in and we've already got something in the works.
Thank you very much, Key, Chief, all of you folks.
And if
Thank
I
you.
can echo what the chief said earlier about our dispatchers, they are the unforeseen heroes, and I just want to echo his comments. He's spot on that it starts and it ends with the dispatchers, so thank you to all their service.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item I have for you this evening is a lot more fun than fire maps, so we change the mood. So in 2024, California State Senate Bill 969 was passed. This expanded, years ago, the city and county of San Francisco asked for what they call an entertainment zone. And this was to allow, designate an area where their businesses, there were alcohol licensees, could sell alcohol for consumption on the streets during established dates and times. And so a few other cities, mostly larger cities, came back, especially post-COVID, and said, that's a great idea, we want that too. So Assembly Bill 969 was authored and passed in 2024, and authorizes cities to establish entertainment zones that permit the consumption of alcoholic beverages on public streets, sidewalks, and public rights-of-way during special events. The bill outlines specific requirements for entertainment zones, including notifying local law enforcement, defining boundaries, and ensuring public safety measures. The establishment of the downtown entertainment zone in Tehachapi presents an opportunity to enhance the local economy, attract tourism, and create a vibrant community space while adhering to state regulations. So we've created the entertainment zone as we sort of thought about special events that we have. A lot of them are centered around the Green Street area, and I got with Chief Standridge to get the law enforcement input. And the map basically will run from Curry east to Robinson, and from Tehachapi Boulevard south to F Street, capturing Green Street, where, like I said, we have a lot of those special events, and incorporate several businesses and licensed alcohol selling establishments.
Also, from an economic development perspective, you know, we usually don't have a lot of downtown vacancies. They come and go. Lately, we've had some businesses move to different parts of the city, so we do have some vacancies. And so this also hopes that maybe it attracts a business that could take advantage of the entertainment zone and make some extra money during special events. So there are some provisions under the bill. The council must adopt the entertainment zone via ordinance with dates and times of operation. I've attached those in the ordinance for the next 2 years. And so there's, we've got mapped out several special events. We also have the ordinance written as well through our legal team to allow us, if another event comes along, or say in 2 years, instead of going through the ordinance process again, we can amend it via resolution and add some things to it as we need. So as far as I know, in dealing with some of the folks on the legal side, outside of the city and county of San Francisco, they haven't seen anyone do this yet. So I think we're sort of trailblazers, at least on the small city side of doing this. So every 2 years, like I said, we have to go back and sort of reestablish this. Some of the events that include the Farmers Market, Green Street Get Down concert, and it ensures public safety by coordinating with the Tehachapi Police Department. And also we'll be doing a lot of education to licensed establishments. We have to not only let the ABC know that we're doing this, alcohol beverage control, but they also have to opt in to this entertainment zone, and they can't sell in glass, aluminum, must sell in plastic cups. They have to be wristbanded like you would in ID check. We're going to work with the businesses on possibly providing those wristbands so they have them during the special events. So that was kind of our thought on this, and it only applies to brick and mortar locations within the entertainment zone. So any offsite sale, if you brought in a beer vendor, would still require beer garden style stuff under the ABC rules. But this would allow those that are established brick and mortars to sell under their license. They also must adhere to the terms of their license. So if their license says they cease sales at 10 p.m., even if, say, our event goes to 11, they have to stop sales at 10. So they don't get any additional leeway. It's just allowing them to participate in this entertainment zone. So the ordinance is attached. The map is attached as well with details as I described, but Curry to Robinson, Tehachapi Boulevard, up to F Street as well. And there's about 5 or 6 establishments in there with some sort of license to sell alcoholic beverages. They'll take advantage. So today the recommendation is to approve the first reading of an ordinance establishing a downtown entertainment zone in compliance with California State Senate Bill 969, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
You have a question on the ordinance, if you want to recommend.
Go ahead.
I was just curious, so like if we were to
She needs
do
to come to
a
the
wine walk
podium.
downtown, right? Would Cliff at Stray Leaves, if people purchased, you know, wine from him, they would be able to walk around?
Correct. He would just have to sell in plastic, have the wristband identifier, inform the ABC he's opting in as well. And that was one that popped first in our minds. Wellness as well, right there by Farmers Market, Green Street Get Down, that kind of stuff. Kelsey's has a licensed beer and wine. We incorporated areas. Primo's has a beer. So we tried to draw in as many as we could inside that zone. So there are several, yeah. So they would just have to opt in via the ABC to this entertainment zone once it's officially established.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Public comments, anybody else? Don't be shy and come on up to the podium, please.
I don't have a comment, I just have a question, I guess, because I didn't understand that. I thought you wouldn't have to have a beer garden if you had a nonprofit, but you do have to have a beer garden. So given that, what's the point? That's my comment.
So, yeah, so this would, and we've dealt with this, I know Jessica has with the ABC with special events. The rules for beer gardens and off-site beer vendors seem to change every single year. And that was part of the reason why Farmers Market last year, we didn't have a beer, they wanted us to beer garden everybody off, and it just kind of didn't go with the spirit of the Farmers Market to do that. So this will not require a beer garden. You can just be inside. Now we have to put signage like we did during Green Street Get Down. We have signs that say no alcohol beverages beyond this point. So we'll do that during special events, but it will allow those that are licensed inside that area to sell for consumption on the street during the dates and times we say. So it will get rid of the requirement for a beer garden, so to speak. But if you bring in off-site vendors, they would still require a beer garden for, you know, if you brought, let's say West Lane came in, and if they were selling in a West Lane tent, ABC would require a beer garden. But if you walk into Buelna's to purchase the beer and they opted into the entertainment zone, you would not have to be inside of the beer garden. So it's very, yes, exactly. Your response is exactly our response to the ABC when the rules change every year. So it is a tad confusing, but this does open up for partnerships as well. You know, offsite vendors could do tap takeovers inside of things like Stray Leaves or Buelna's or Kelsey's, and they would sell it under their license, and it would just be like them selling them a keg to pour to any of their customers. So it does open up some possibilities for, you know, partnerships and other, you know, people to participate.
So you could buy beer or wine in a plastic cup at Kelsey's, wearing a wristband, and walk over to the farmer's market?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yes?
I'm curious, just not seeing the map, on the perimeter streets, is it both sides of the street?
Yeah, so, sorry, the AV was not working today. So we did that sort of specifically, especially on F Street. So like Primo's is right here, but it technically runs to the alley behind F Street. So it incorporates like Casagiri, Primo's, all those folks, so it gets that side. Now Robinson, it does end on what would be the City Hall edge of Robinson. There's no vendors on the other side anyway, but we tried to draw it in to incorporate as many folks inside of that to make sure that they could take advantage of this opportunity.
Thank you. Question for Corey. So with Green Street, get down, did I say that right? That was a lot of people, and I thought it went off really well. But how much alcohol? Where was the alcohol during that event?
So that event was sold on, so the entire event was cordoned off since it was a concert, different than a farmer's market, different ABC rules. We just had to basically establish the perimeter, signage, police department was there to make sure containers weren't leaving the area. But the entire area, beer was sold on.
It was already that way?
Yeah.
So even with this, you would not expect more alcohol at that event? Would you expect about the
No,
same?
it would just, about the same for our off-site vendors, but then it would allow the folks from Buelna's to come out and they could take advantage of that as well. So people are either going inside and drinking it or drinking it on the street when they purchased it from West Lane or LCB who were there. So I don't think it's gonna be much more. It'll just allow the opportunity for the licensees to take advantage of it and legally sell it for consumption outside
So
of
if
their
they
business.
bought their wine at Stray Leaves, they didn't have to stay there on that night?
Right, they could head over there, because they also have, the big issue for them is they have requirements, because they're not technically off-site sales places. So they're, for consumption on the premises, this opens up them to allow that off-site sales piece, so people could walk out directly into the entertainment zone.
And you had a question back there?
Oh,
Come
yeah.
up to the podium, it's okay. Don't be shy.
You said something about businesses opting in. I was just wondering if that meant they had to do something extra aside from having their liquor license?
No, it's actually surprisingly very simple for now with the ABC. It's one form that once we let the ABC know we've got the entertainment zone, here's our boundary, and then they will submit to be a part. It's right now, as it stands today, it's one form. Now, whether that changes in the future, don't count on it staying one form, but it's actually one form, and it's available on their website currently.
One more question. Sure. Is there going to be more insurance expense to the city by doing this?
Great question. I'm not sure at this point. We have a pretty robust RMA for special events. I don't think so, honestly. It's not something we had to look into because we already have a lot of requirements when it comes to alcohol at events. Those don't really change as far as perimeter security, police and that sort of thing. So I don't see it increasing rates because we're already doing alcohol sales at the events anyway.
Okay.
Does it cost anything for the businesses, like when they fill out that form, does it cost?
There is no application fee from
Okay.
ABC, yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Public comment? Council, any more?
Yeah, I have a question. It's just, I'm looking at the map, that I believe that yellow highlighted area is the designated, right?
Yes.
So it's not, the south end of the boundary is not F Street, I believe it's a D.
It's the alley behind F. So basically, it includes the businesses on F, but that's an alleyway that's
Oh,
running.
I see, the
Yes.
business address on F and all the way to the
Yeah,
back, okay.
and so we just wanted to make sure that the entire building was inside of the entertainment zone, so we
Okay.
put it into the alley. So, but no, they couldn't sell it out the back door, cause you'd be out of the entertainment zone if you sold it out of the back door. You must step into the entertainment
On
zone.
F,
and
on F.
Leaving the
Street,
business,
okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Yes, I was very glad to see the size, because I was afraid we were gonna do it too small. I'd rather have it bigger, so I was very excited about the size. But with this, will the individuals have to have a special use permit if they wanted to do a special event? Let's say like stray leaves, and so that way the city can keep an eye on what's going on?
So if most of the events all the events running in this area are going through us anyway. Stray Leaves was doing a different event. They wanted to say they wanted to close Green Street and utilize the entertainment zone. At that point, we would come back to council and say, we're asking for an amendment to the ordinance. And at that point, but something like that, just because of the security required signage and stuff, it might not be cost effective for one business to say, hey, I want to do this special event right here.
Okay.
But yes, we would have to come back, because we've got listed the events and times currently that we anticipate, and so we'd have to come back for a change to the operating hours.
Thank you.
Okay.
So on this item, we're addressing liquor sales only. In other words, when we have events downtown, there's noise associated with it that the streets and neighbors, just E&D and around, downwind of events, have to put up with multiple times a year. Is this a time and opportunity to address noise, since you're delineating a zone? In other words, could you have something like, sound levels is one thing, but they always get cranked up. You know, you can hear certain venues a long way away, even though, and they're not, could we ask for sound shells, things that make the sound contained within, within an area?
That's assuming that all the events are, music related. I mean, I know there is some entertainment, like with the Thunder on the Mountain car show. Hometown Christmas has a few things that are sort of spread out. But this law specifically, 969, is all dealing just with off-site sales. It didn't have anything for noise, and it was just, the entertainment zone was established not to necessarily create rules for having every event there, but just events involving alcohol in which the licensees could sell on the street. So that's what this bill was targeting, was just the off-site sales portion of alcohol.
So our zoning ordinance would cover?
Still covers the sound. We
The
still have
sound
the
part of it.
requirements, yes.
Yeah.
And usually we shut those down. I think Green Secret Get Down went to like 10 last year. And so that's where we capped. That's the latest special event I think we have in that area.
I can recall at the CNP Market venue down here, it used to be CNP Market, now it's a Moose Lodge, now it's a private owner, and they've had some events that the entire building becomes a speaker till 1 in the morning. I mean, you're trying to go to sleep and you're going, and if someone comes out the side doors, it goes from, I mean, it's a speaker. The building itself resonates with bass. And I had to call a couple events, and they came by and they stopped, and then when the police officers leave, it cranks up again. But it's way past 10 o'clock. So that may be something we have to address in a different way.
Yeah, not specifically here, but yes, our zoning ordinances, noise ordinances, chief and his staff.
Yeah.
That's their wheelhouse.
Okay. All right.
Excuse me. Okay, do I have any other comments? Can I have a motion, please?
I make the motion.
I'll second.
Right.
To approve.
Councilmember Chung?
Yes.
Councilmember Davies?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Power?
Yes.
Mayor Pokencourt?
Yes.
5-0 vote, motion carried.
Okay. All right.
All right.
right, I
Lori,
will
I think you're up.
jump on this one for
Oh,
our
yeah, yeah,
planning
yeah.
commission appointment. So due to the resignation of Councilmember Charles White, the council will need to consider appointing one member to the Tehachapi Planning Commission. The appointed commissioner's term will expire on June 30th. So two applications were received from Kelly Ann Ryan and Barbara Miner. This was brought to you a few months ago, but it was tabled because we did not have all council members here. So I am going to ask that both of them come up to the podium, and since one of you, again, was not here, give you a little information on their background so you can ask questions. So if we can start with Kelly Ann Ryan.
Hello everyone, good evening. Thank you so much for having me back. I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm thrilled that all 5 of you are here tonight. My name is Kelly Ann Ryan. I am a downtown Tehachapi resident, proud to live on 425 East D Street. I grew up here. I graduated from Tehachapi High in 1994. I did move away for about 20 years, and so I was pleased to come back. And that time away and then that return back home, I think, is one of the things that positions me very uniquely for being on the Planning Commission. I've had the opportunity to witness the beautiful and wonderful growth of this community, and I think being a part of the commission would allow me to contribute to that and see it from a different perspective, and also just increase my involvement and support of this beautiful town that I get to live in every day. Do you have any questions for me?
All
right,
right,
I'll
thank
take
you.
your time.
All right, Barbara Miner.
Like Kelly, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. I have lived a life of service, and serving on the Planning Commission, I feel like will give me a chance to do that more directly in Tehachapi. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would normally like reference my ancestry or something, but I do have deep roots in Tehachapi, and I appreciate living here now. Appreciate growing Kern County's resources in any way that I can, and then specifically helping my neighbors in Tehachapi proper. So, yeah, I left last time kind of feeling like, you know, we had a good dialogue, but then also that to expand on the why of my service. So I just wanted to read this. Public service is a foundational part of my life, and I do love this community. Tehachapi brings people together from our local area and offers unique resources for our entire region. I choose to live in the heart of our city and want to be part of keeping Tehachapi inviting, as well as ushering in future plans. I'll use skills and resources to further the efficient work of the Commission and general plan. And I understand the workings of government in procedure and practice with multiple stakeholders, finances, pressures, and timelines. In community building, this is truly simply who I am. Do you have any questions for me?
Do we have any public comments? Council?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I will go ahead and open nominations. We do not need a second on nominations. After we go through the nominations, we'll go through the voting process, but you can only vote for one nominee. So I will open nominations.
I'll make a nomination. I think both candidates are super well qualified. I do have a little leaning to someone who grew up here, graduated here. They go away and then they come back with maybe a little, you know, a different point of view of how they grew up here and that. But I think if there's an opportunity for someone who grew up here, went to high school here, and lived here for a long time, the opportunity to serve on the Planning Commission or any board. So I'm leaning toward Kelly Ann Ryan for my nomination, and it has no deference or no negative to the other candidate, okay?
Right.
Okay.
Any other nominations?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Barbara Miner. I work with her personally with some of my church service that we do together. And her and I have talked quite a bit about opportunity to serve in our community. And I think Barbara would do a good job. She's willing to learn, and with what she's done in her other government appointed positions she's had, she's willing to serve our community and be available for the people to talk to. And I do appreciate both candidates. I mean, we have two very qualified people. So it makes it hard to pick one or choose the other, but working with Barbara on some other things, I'm gonna nominate Barbara Miner.
All right, thank you. So we will close nominations. We will take a vote. Again, you may only vote yes for one of the nominees. So we'll start with Ms. Ryan, and we'll go through a roll call here. Councilmember Chung?
I'll go with the Barbara.
So right now we're just
am I
voting
doing?
on Ryan. So.
Oh, is that her last name?
So for Kellyanne Ryan?
No.
Okay. Councilmember Davies?
No.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Power?
Yes.
Mayor Progencourt?
Yes.
Okay. We have 3 votes for Ms. Ryan and 2 noes from Chung and Davies. Now we will do the vote for Ms. Miner. Councilmember Chung?
Yes.
Councilmember Davies?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Power?
No.
Mayor Progencourt?
No.
All right, congratulations to Ms. Ryan. We have a 3-2 vote.
Actually, do I have to have a motion to?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're on to number 8.
So she'll get sworn in at the next planning commission meeting?
So if I will give you a call this week and I'll get you sworn in at City Hall because you've got planning commission Monday.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. I'm ready.
Okay, Community Engagement Director's Report, number 8. Okay, okay.
I'd like to invite Corey Torres, General Manager from TVRPD, to join me. Good to see you. So earlier we had a disposition of some equipment, some tables and chairs on the consent agenda. So that's what I want to provide a little information. I've invited Corey, for the last year plus, Corey and I meet every 2 to 3 weeks. We have coffee and we talk about the ways that we can collaborate better between the city and TVRPD, different programs, support of each other, and I think, you know, in my opinion, I think it's been really a good, strong working relationship that we've developed.
Definitely.
So in one of these conversations, we talked about things that we have and that we don't utilize as often, and one of those was the tables and chairs that we kept in a trailer that only came out once a year on the 4th of July, that we let the Tehachapi High School Booster Club use for their fundraiser. And in talking with Corey, there's multiple opportunities that TVRPD could utilize those tables and chairs for other events and do a cost savings to TVRPD. And so we had a discussion and we told them what we had used them for. We reached out to the Booster Club and told them what we were thinking because they were involved, because they expected on July 4th. And TVRPD is going to continue that, making sure that the Booster Club has access to it, and it allows TVRPD to utilize this equipment whenever they need it. So we just thought it was a better use of equipment to turn it over to TVRPD so the community could benefit from it, save money from his bottom line, save money for us, and it was just something that we thought would be a good moving forward. So thank you for acknowledging that and that disposition of the gear. So, Court, anything you'd like to?
Yeah, I mean, I think that cost savings wise, I calculated that by gaining this equipment, we're going to save almost $2,000 a year, which doesn't sound like a whole lot in the grand scheme of like an entire year, but for us, it allows like our TOTS program to take some of that money for some of their events and get more supplies. Our old timers picnic that we host every year, we'll be able to use those for those, so we have to rent less. And so it's just an all-around cost savings that we're excited about, and be able to use those funds towards other things that we need. So it's just one of the many ways that we've been able to collaborate, our two agencies, and appreciate them letting us have it. So, of course, for the Warrior Booster Club for the 4th of July, the pancake breakfast, I mean, they're going to continue to be utilized, so it won't seem like any difference there. So just, yeah, happy for the collaboration, the community partnership, and the donation, so appreciate it.
Yeah. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have regarding this. We just thought it was a smart way to use some tools to benefit the entire community.
I think it was 90 chairs and like 17 round tables or something like that, so
Nice.
good amount.
Yeah.
And then it frees up a trailer for Public Works to use, so another asset that our Public Works team has available to them to use for various things that they may need.
Just as long as
Yeah.
you can use them.
So,
I have a question.
yes, ma'am.
So are you gonna allow the city to use in the future if city come up with some, a need of those table and chairs?
Yeah, I think there might be upcoming like entertainment zone happening.
Entertainment zone, hey,
So,
yeah, we can sign up for it.
Anytime, yep.
And one of the nice things that Corey and his team has already made available for their stage for us to use, has allowed us, so that was a cost saving, something that we didn't have to rent. So this collaboration and working together has already gone into effect. And just, we're right now currently, there's pickleball lessons going out there, a program that he's able to offer on an asset that we own. These are just some of the things that we've been working on over the last year. And so this was just one we wanted to, memorialize and make sure you're aware of it.
Thank you.
I think this kind of collaboration and, helping each other makes our community very strong and make it even better for everybody. It benefits everyone.
I agree.
Yeah.
Any public comment?
Do I have any public comment?
It's a great idea.
Yes, it is.
I like it too.
Council?
We did this over a cup of coffee.
That's a
even
great way
better.
to do business, but it's out here, we all get to agree that why have two sets of tables and chairs that are used off and on? It's a very good partnership, and I agree with what she said, it's good for the community. And I just want to say kudos to Tehachapi Valley Recreation Park District for the parks look great. I mean, you take a walk around City Park or any other park, the grounds are kept to the highest level I've seen ever. So kudos to that.
Thank you very
And
much.
your crews that have to take care of all that.
Thank you, I'll
So,
pass that along.
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's working smarter, not necessarily harder, and that's a great savings, but I also know how creative you are. And you're gonna come up with 10 different events you could use that you didn't even think of because you didn't have that resource available in your budgeting.
For sure.
So I bet this is just the beginning of multiple uses, and I can't wait to see what you're gonna do.
Absolutely. We'll see what
Great-
else the
great
city
job,
has that
both of
we
you.
can get rid of. No.
Great
No,
job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So do we need a
Thank you.
motion?
No, informational.
It's on.
Information,
yeah.
perfect.
Development
better.
Service Director's Report, Jay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I've got a couple items for you tonight. I'm going to spend a lot of money, but I think in good ways. So the first item I have for you is the award of the 25-26 Measure S Pavement Rehabilitation Project. This is more good news following on the 10-year plan that Dawn presented here a number of years ago as we were looking at Measure S. It hadn't yet been passed, but we were trying to figure out what it was going to take to really have a robust program for rehabilitating the city's roads. And so he authored that program, and we've set about, especially with the money coming into us from Measure S and the support of the community to that end. This is the third project in a year, or third year in a row in which we've had a sizable paving project. So on February 13th, we began advertising for this project, and we opened bids for this project on March 25th. The bid results are included in the staff report. I do think we have a copy at the back of the room, since we're not able to show it. We did receive 5 bids. Robust bidding, which was good. The top 3 bidders were within under 10% of the total value of the project, so that's a good sign that we got a good competitive bid. In compliance with the Public Contract Code, we undertook a review of the bids received to confirm that the apparent low bid received from West Rock LLC, doing business as West Rock General Engineering, was the lowest bid and was responsive. So a little bit about the budget. So that bid from West Rock, total project including all the bid additives, which is ideally what we'd like to do, was $1 under 2.6 million. So 255,259,999 was the bid received from them. We budgeted for this endeavor, the entire budget was $2.87 million for this project. So it lands within the budget to execute the project, including the soft costs. So design and then construction management, materials testing, things like that, which in this case, materials testing in particular, you put down this much asphalt, you gotta check it as you're going, and we'll spend a fair amount of money on materials testing. But we'd like to go into the project with a robust contingency. So what we've been asking for the last several times we've done projects is for a 20% contingency budget, which in this case would be about $500,000, the 20% contingency would. So if we add the $500,000 to the bid from West Rock, we end up a little over the total budget of, not a little, we're over the budget of 287 that is in the approved 5-year budget for this project. In fact, it brings with the contingency the total budget to 3.3 million. And so we do not have any reason to believe we're going to spend the 20% contingency at this point. We don't have our eye on a particular addition to the project, but we'd like the flexibility because this will go quickly. Like last year's big paving project of about this much money happened in about a month to 2 months. The whole nugget got done. So we'd like the flexibility to be able to move quickly if we see an opportunity to add a little section, or for instance, in this year, what's different than last year is we're doing a heavy rehabilitation at Denison Road in front of where WM is at. Much heavier work than before, so we're not quite sure what we're going to get when we start digging. And so that's why we're asking for a little extra contingency budget in this case. And so my recommendation then is that you award the 25-26 Measure S pavement rehabilitation project to West Rock LLC, DBA West Rock General Engineering, for the total bid amount of $2,599,999, and authorize the city manager to approve any necessary change orders up to a maximum of 20% of the construction costs, or $519,999.80, and amend the project budget accordingly. So that last line is added to reflect that we could go above the 287 that is budgeted. But we've spoken with the finance director, and we have those funds in Measure S available to us should we need them. So that's my recommendation, and I'm happy to answer any questions. There is a wonderful exhibit we included that shows all the roads we intend to rehabilitate. So if anybody from the audience has a question, they can come take a look at my computer screen. Okay. You guys should have a copy in your staff report, hopefully. So, yeah.
Do I
Any questions?
Do I have any public comments, questions? Anybody? Council?
I do have questions or comments or a combination.
Very good.
Okay, first of all, I'm so happy to hear that we have this money available at a time, and what a wonderful thing. I continuously, I say this many times at the council meeting, it is very unusual for our size of the city, anywhere in the state, to be able to do these kind of things, and be able to move it, make it closer, in a timeline to be able to do this. And my second one is a question: how is it likely to complete the project within this fiscal year, meaning by the end of June?
Well, there's a bet going around about whether that can be done or not. I think it's possible. I think we expect a company like West Rock, who we've worked with before one time, we had a good relationship with them, that a project of this nature, they're going to mobilize a meaningful portion of their ability, their manpower, to do something like this. And they make their best money if they move quickly. If it goes slowly, that's when it costs more. It's more traffic control, more extended time means more expense in kind of keeping the machine moving if you can move efficiently through it. So I think a completion by June 30th is a little optimistic, but doable, but definitely by middle of summer. I'd be very surprised if we're not complete before school starts. So
that's wonderful. Okay, and my final comment is, You know, I was looking at the map, and a lot of areas that covering with this project is north of Railroad. And I was just so glad to see that, because such an area can be neglected in many, many, you know, times. And these local streets, there's no grant for it.
Sure.
Unless you have money, like our city does. Those roads are super neglected, and I was so happy to see that.
Well, very good. Yeah, that was specifically the reason we targeted. We're using Measure S to target some roads that are on our main classification list, but mostly not. And the reason is because we can still get the federal or the state money for those routes. It's not enough to keep those up, but it's something. But to your point, north of railroad tracks probably hasn't seen a serious dollar in terms of paving since it was originally paved, maybe. Certainly not in the 20 years I've been here. And so, yeah, we'll effectively be completely repaving all of the area of the city of Tehachapi north of the railroad tracks as part of this project. So, and we're also seeing the private investment in that area that we think goes along with public investment. So we're excited too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, can I get a motion?
I have a question.
Oh, I have a question.
Did you go ahead?
I did. Remind me, we've worked with West Rock this last year, haven't we?
Yes.
And we've got a
It's
good
just last year.
relationship?
Yep.
Okay, and we haven't had any problems with them at all. I'm just very, very happy with them,
No,
correct?
we'll see. Yeah, our team worked well together.
Okay.
Public contract code is its own unique beast.
Okay.
But yes, we're confident.
And to piggyback on what Hannah said, looking at this, these are all the older roads. And very, very glad to see that they're being taken care of. They get a lot of wear and tear on Denison with just the constant daily traffic, but the older roads and the older communities and the homes built in the 70s, if not before, it's nice to see that that's being taken care
Yeah,
of.
these are, the North Tehachapi area and then Denison, both north and south of the railroad tracks. And then the other big one is Curry, from sea to valley and valley over to Clearview. These are areas where those are heavily traveled roads. So
Yes, they are.
getting those cleaned up and going, I think, will be a big addition. And then a lot more alley work is getting done as well. So
very good.
Jay, we did the curb and gutters last year in that area also.
We've done some. We've been slowly marching through the North Tehachapi area, doing sidewalk and finishing up driveways. We haven't gotten the whole thing done, but we continue to keep our eye on that. And we put in an ATP grant a couple of years ago. It wasn't successful for all of that area, but we'll continue to look for that money.
I'm happy that area has been needing some pavement for a long time.
Right.
And I still want a Measure S sign up, your tax dollars at work.
Yeah, yes, sir. Will do.
You
I can-
know,
There we go. It's not a problem.
It's just a small sign in the area.
That's
You know,
right.
people need to know, because they voted for this. This is something that other cities don't always get. And the public's been behind us, and we're putting that money right to work.
Have a location in mind as you look at this map?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a location in mind as you look at the map?
Well, I'm just real pleased that north of the railroad.
Like I can think over there by Gracians at Denison and Tehachapi Boulevard, we
I
have enough
agree.
land to put a little sign up there, and
Yeah,
we'll be
there's-
repaving Denison. How about that for
Yeah.
Somewhere it's
location?
visible, people will see.
Yeah, that's a visible spot.
Sure.
Okay.
And if you have two signs, that's fine too.
Okay.
But I see some streets.
That's that 20% contingency right there.
Well, I see some
Before
streets.
our eyes.
Some streets won't be done this year, but some of those streets, their alleys will be done. Are you doing all the alleys in town?
Correct.
or-
All they're highlighted red on the alleys that'll be
Yeah.
covered this year are highlighted there in
Are
this
those
map.
the balance of the alleys that haven't been done?
We're getting pretty close,
Close.
at this point. Yeah, there might be a few. The ones that we've otherwise avoided are in better condition than
Right.
The rehabilitation we're proposing. So that's why we probably won't be hitting those.
Yeah.
They're not in the plan at this point.
So do they use a roller on some of the alleys?
Yeah, they actually take the grindings and run them through the paving machine. So if you've seen a paving
perfect.
machine before, it's that big box that opens the clamshell in the
Yeah.
back, and they dump the new asphalt in there, and then it's run through a mill, which compacts it in place, and then they roll it after that machine moves
So
on.
it could be a nice
So,
alley.
yeah, Granite and, who did the job last year? Was it Griffith or Granite? I'm trying to remember. They, I think it was Granite. They sort of pioneered that with us. Our team sat with theirs and said, well, what if we put the grindings through the machine, and then run the roller? So it's a unique way of doing it. We sort of figured it out on the fly together. We thought that the work that was done was worth repeating.
Were some of the first alleys not rolled with a roller?
They were rolled after they
They've
were
all
put in.
been-
Yeah, they've all been rolled. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, are there going to be, some improvements beyond this area eventually as well?
Yeah, we're working on next year's project, and we're begging
Yes.
the finance director back there for a little extra funding, and Greg too. So we're working through next year's project list and what kind of funding request we would
Because
have
some
for
of
you all.
those alleys
I don't
have
think it's been
holes.
settled yet, but we're working on it. So
Yeah,
great.
some of the alleys have huge holes when you're trying to, turn into a business, it's pretty bad.
Look
Okay.
at how mad when you say that.
I
Yeah.
know.
So since we might
He's trying to
finish
hide
by
the key back
summer,
there, it's
we
on
could
you.
do a couple of fall months of the
Sure.
next fiscal year.
Well, we will be doing Valley Boulevard from Beach to Tucker later this summer as well. That's a separate project.
Separate project from
Yeah,
this.
correct.
Because I remember you saying that.
Yeah, that's RSTP, that's federal money. So.
Okay. Then the last thing is Measure S. Are we still sure that we get to keep the money? The state's not gonna take it.
Hey, the more asphalt we put down, it's harder for them to ever get the money back. So
Let's
that's
lay
my
the
vote
asphalt.
is,
All right, thank you. That's all I got.
what we're
Thank you.
spending for.
Okay. Okay, do we need a motion here?
I'll make the motion, sure.
I'll second it.
All right, Councilmember Chung?
Yes.
Councilmember Davies?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Power?
Yes.
Mayor Pokencourt?
Yes.
5-0 vote, motion carried.
Okay.
Thank you. The second item I have for you is relating to an existing project. So our Dennison ATP project is a reminder. This is the project that is improving Dennison Road, putting in curb gutter and sidewalk in a couple of missing spots there between Tehachapi Boulevard and the high school, putting in a crossing at the high school. That work has largely been completed. And we worked with Caltrans. Once we had a bid that came in under the engineer's estimate, we were able to go back to Caltrans and talk about enhancing the project in a few ways, in compliance with the grant rules. And you all had authorized us up to $115,000 in change order funds. And so we made some decisions to add some components to the project. Well, we started constructing, and then we ran into some unforeseen utilities at the intersection of Dennison and Valley Boulevard and found ourselves having already expended our change order budget. The good news here is that our grant funds are still available. We had $2 million in grant funds. The original bid was 1.15 million, so a significant difference between those two. And so we're able to continue to spend the grant funds to complete the additional work we have now, but it exceeds the change order budget that you all approved for us at the time that we awarded this project. So that's all outlined here in the staff report, and so tonight I'm just asking for you guys to allow us to go all the way to the total amount of grant funds. It's 100% grant, there are no city match funds in this, and so that limits the chance of me ever having to come back here again on this project, but instead frees us up to get the work done that we need. You may have noticed if you drove by, they're installing storm drain today. They've got a heavy excavator in that intersection and a fair amount of traffic control, and so that's some of this work proceeding, but we do need your approval to advance the budget. So I recommend that you authorize staff to spend up to $2,014,853,000, which represents the total allowable grant funding in accordance with the grant terms for the Dennison Road ATP project. So happy to answer any questions.
Do I have any public comments?
I
Right,
think
council?
this will be, oh yeah, I'm sorry. This will provide safety for students who ride a bicycle.
Sure.
I would think. And,
Oh, yeah.
And it's even better being at 100% grant funded. So, as I always said, thank you for being, so smart about grabbing all kinds of grants, Jay. And I'm so proud of our city who does that. And we always have, it's been all, for many years we spent money to grab more money. So we always have project, the ready to go project ready. So when there is some kind of, that there are certain grants that other city is not going to be able to use it, then we go and grab it. So thank you so much for doing a good job.
Thank you. Yeah, our team gathered just last week. CMAC and RSTP are coming up and started strategizing on next year's round. So thank you for that. I'll pass that on to the teams. They work hard.
I'll echo that. Thanks for you and the staff for getting grants. That's money that we don't have to use Measure S on.
Yes, sir.
So, thank you. And I'll make a motion to approve, but no one else has any
I'll
comments.
second it.
Okay. Councilmember Chung?
Yes.
Councilmember Davies?
Yes.
Councilmember
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Power?
Yes.
Mayor Pokencourt?
Yes.
5-0 vote, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, City
Thanks, Jay.
Manager Corey.
Thank you, pinch hitting for Greg today, but couple things. Want to remind everybody, next Thursday is Coffee with the Mayor at Mountain Coffee House from 7:30 to 9 a.m. So last Monday was in March, but last Thursday was the first Thursday in April. So next Thursday will be the third Thursday, so just in case your internal clock is off a little bit, it will be because of that weird week. So we will be there on this. We had some great conversations recently. A lot of the Traintown USA talk that we've discussed was there with Union Pacific and other folks that have showed up. So I encourage you to attend to that. I know many of you, I was unfortunately out of town, but many of you, if not the entire city, attended the Jersey Mike's grand opening. If they didn't go to that, they've been there ever since. I've been around this town long enough to know better than to go to a business when it opens right away for at least a couple months. Give it some time. But I think Martha, the owner, is so busy, she's probably not even sleeping. But they're so happy with the response that they've got from this community, as expected. She owns another location in La Crescenta, and I told her this is going to blow your grand opening in La Crescenta away, and it has. Because down there, you're just another Jersey Mike's on a corner. Here, you know, you're something that we've been working on for 5+ years. Yeah, and it's been something we've been working on for 5+ years. They told us to get lost the first time we talked to them. We weren't big enough, never would be, and then a couple years later it changed because I stay persistent on these folks, and their business model changed. And so when the Tehachapi market became available, Martha Perez took it, and I know she's done a great job staffing appropriately, stocking up appropriately, knowing she was going to have a big response. So very happy to see that. And on grand openings, Mountaintop Storage will have theirs on Thursday, 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock. They've been open for a couple months. Great facility on Tehachapi Boulevard. During my recent move, I had to utilize it. Very easy to use and a great facility. So go check that out. And just kind of, it worked out perfectly today. Everything sort of, we talked Measure S and everything. We had fire here earlier. We honored dispatch. We talked about spending $2+ million in pavement. Those were all priorities when we started talking to voters about Measure S, that they said, I want my money to go to police, fire, local dispatch, streets and roads, local infrastructure. We continue to do that every year. Measure S is not a blank check. It is being spent under the priorities that the voters wanted us to spend it on, and we continue to do that. So, we're putting their money where our mouth is, basically, and doing that. So every time we bring these projects, and tonight we had a great representation from fire to police and dispatch. Chief's done a great job with the police department. Staffing is incredible. Getting great officers, a very competitive agency to work for now. And then we're doing it with these streets that a lot of times, as Jay pointed out, haven't been touched in decades. And alleys that we used to say, sorry, we don't have any funding for. Now we can reuse that stuff and redo the alleys, based on the grindings and that sort of thing. So very happy that Measure S is not only there, but we're doing it with the way the voters asked us to, and we continue to deliver those projects. So that's it.
Thank you.
I would like to say thank you for managing Measure S money very smartly, so kudos to you guys. I mean, thanks to the residents who spend their money in town,
Sure.
First of all. However, that money is in good use, so.
And it does help us with that fire contract with Kern County Fire. And I know when Chief was here, he talked about, these maps were developed under the guise that there are no fire stations and there's no help around and how bad the fire. I'm pretty confident saying like this probably, you never know, but most likely with the resources we have from Kern County Fire, whether it's the Station 12 in the city, surrounding stations, our air operations at our airport, the new equipment they purchased for that, the 2 wildland crews, we're in really good hands. And a lot of that is due to the fact that we can pay that fire contract now with Kern County Fire, and they respond very well, and that relationship continues to grow.
All right, council member reports. Thank you, Corey. Do you want to go, Michael?
I don't have anything, thank you.
Jeanette?
Yes, so on April 4th, commissioners from the Arts Council of Kern County came up. They did a mural tour from 3:30 to 4:30. At 4:30 to 5, they went and saw the youth art competition at Gallery and Gifts. Then we had Stray Leaves, little wine and cheese. And then they went to the BK Theater for the unveiling of 4 large, beautiful ornamental iron pieces from Monica Lindsay created. And then after that, they went to the play. And they texted me, they're absolutely thrilled, they're excited. They have not been here in close to 20 years.
Oh,
wow. And they are going to try and make Tehachapi the newsletter for next month. And that goes across all of California. So it's going to show all of those things, the theater and the celloists. So that could be huge for our arts community, but we are definitely working more together. So they're going to come to more of our events, we're going to go to more of their events, and it's going to be a really good relationship. And then I wanted to thank Key and Maya for your new newscast I watched on YouTube. That's, paper is still great, and a lot of people still use newspapers, but it seems like everyone isn't watching channels anymore. They watch YouTube, they watch digital TV, or and news to get their information. And I think that's a really smart way to get access to people. Very smart. And your first one was excellent. I can't wait to see what you guys do. And Maya, I'm so surprised you're still awake after the schedule that you've had with the play. But
yeah,
excellent. I encourage everyone to go see the play.
Yes,
That's
the
it.
play was marvelous. You did a great job.
Yeah, you could hear her laughing, couldn't you?
Yes. Oh, good. You knew I was there then. No, it was a great play. I think you still have a little bit of time to go see it. Isn't the last
Next weekend
week?
is the last
Yeah,
weekend.
that's what I thought.
You can do
yeah.
it, girl.
Yeah, it's great. Anyway, you should see it. Also, I think I've been dodging orange cones for quite some time. There's a lot of road work going on in the city, and every time I go down like Tehachapi Boulevard, I gotta dodge the cones. So I'm glad to see that, and they have done some work in my area too, and it's been very beneficial. So I appreciate that. Phil?
Kudos again, congrats on your play, Maya, and then thank you, Jeanette, for putting on and hosting the event on Friday. I didn't make it, but that's a big deal to have an arts commission come to your community and then present it to the statewide. So thank you very, very much. And then thank you, Corey, for your efforts for Jersey Mike's. What you don't understand is, Corey and Greg, you'll go to, is it ICS or what is it?
Yeah, it used to be International Council of Shopping Centers. They kind of changed it to Innovating Commerce Serving Communities. But yeah, it was Get Lost the first couple times, and then when they changed, and I popped in them on a show in San Diego, and they said, oh, our business model's changed, and so we're looking at secondary markets now. Then the following year, they set up a giant display at ICSC. It's like a fake storefront, and they serve sandwiches all day, but they have offices in the back. And they want us to meet in the back offices. And I told Greg, I said, we've arrived. They want us to go in the back offices. Like, this is serious now. And it was. And it would have been a little sooner, but the initial franchisee built in Delano and didn't want to build anymore after that. So it took another year to find a franchisee. So it would have been a year sooner. But they got a great location. They fell in love with that spot, that corner.
Yeah.
And it was all downhill from there. So
It's a great location. Did you want to say something?
They sold 100 subs before the first hour.
wow. That's insane.
They stopped everything and did a little celebration.
Yeah, and we had Martha on Tehachapod, so definitely listen to that, the owner. But 75% of Jersey Mike's business nationally is through their digital app. They designed that store with a separate prep area for digital orders, and that is where a lot of restaurants, especially quick serves, are going. And so they prepared that store for that, and a lot of digital orders are especially in that area on the going home side of Tucker, will be very popular here.
Yes.
Maybe you can entice in and out with that. Dangle it on.
Yeah, we'll see.
Go for it.
I'm still persistent with them, but they just kind of chuckle at me now, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
But Corey, thank you for those efforts. Those are the things that happen every year and ongoing to get those kind of businesses here and get us noticed. And with the data that you have now and the modeling, you can go to them. You want to explain what you can offer right now?
Yeah, now you can just, before you could try to convince them, or you could do a study, and by the time you got the study, the data was already outdated.
Yeah.
Things had changed. And so now you can show traffic counts, foot traffic in real time, the audience spending, and is there any room for them as far as the consumer spending in this community? So they're able to see that and they understand that better. It certainly does equalize the playing field for us. when we don't have the population density that a lot of businesses like, because we are spread out as a city and a community, but to say, yeah, but we're spending more money than other communities because of income levels or things like that, it does
Sure.
help kind of balance, and they'll take a chance on us as opposed to just being a flat no in the past.
Exactly. And that our population is spread out amongst the outlying areas, but they all travel right through town, right through Tucker. Tucker, the Albertson Shopping Center, when it went in, I'm not sure how many years ago.
94?
I'm thinking, is it 30 years already?
That was yeah, because Save Mart was 90, and I want to say Albertson was like 94.
The location of that center was based on right-hand turn, returning to home. That extra traffic, in addition to the city, the people going home to the outlying areas.
And we can show that now on traffic pattern data. You can see the routes people take to a spot, so they
Yes.
understand the amount of cars, which way they're going.
Yeah. And then our Highway 58, I'm not sure the traffic count, I think it's 50-some thousand automobiles a day. That's not even counting the trucks, but it's big. So, anyway, thank you for those efforts that don't go noticed until we open the store.
I'm still waiting though. I'm letting it calm down a bit before I go.
Oh, it was fine. I went out, I think it was it Saturday or something?
I was there and did your digital pickup, you just went.
There you go.
Yeah, I had a
Digital
picture.
pickup.
Just go on the app. The package is just there. It's got your name on it. And they're ready for it. Because that's a big deal to have the digital staff fill in those orders. Because I've been in some in Bakersfield. You go in and you're waiting for your go in the door order, and they're just really cranking at the back, filling the bags that are going ahead of you that already have called in.
Yeah, retailers have found that small markets, surprisingly, especially rural markets like ours, are very adaptive to technology. Chipotle's found that with their Chipotle, Panda Express, and now Jersey Mike's. They really, I think at first they thought small markets would want to be traditional, but they're finding the convenience factor is a lot higher here than it is in more urban cities.
Yeah, we got savvy residents. Thank you, that's all I got. All right.
Yeah, so I have.
Saving the best till last.
I just wanna, to say my appreciation for our dispatchers. They are like unsung heroes type of things, the behind the scene, they work like, late at night, early in the morning, during the day, and, nonstop. And again, like, Phil has mentioned, I would like to say thank you to Jeanette for her dedication to our art community, and she spent, I'm sure that a lot of time of her, her effort goes into our community, the art things, and that makes our town very charming, I would believe. And I would like to, again, thanks to all our city staff for their behind the scene work that make our city so amazing. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. Do we have closed
We're not
session?
gonna close session.
No closed session tonight? Okay. I can adjourn?
You can adjourn.
Okay. This meeting is now adjourned at 7:33.